Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know.
So it's been a while since we've done a podcast. The last one we did was with De'Aaron and Recee Fox, which, by the way, we have not talked about that yet.
No, because that was the last podcast that we did. So obviously we haven't and I don't think we've even really broken it down with a lot of people either. A few friends.
With this podcast, like during the season, of course, we're live after every game. By the way, I scheduled our first night chat October 8th against the Raptors for preseason. We'll be live after the game. But during the offseason, we like to do a lot of interviews because, the offseason gets a little dry. You want to get to know people, usually loosen up. We try to get interviews all the time. But, you don't hear back. It's like fishing, right? You don't just throw out one line. If you're a fisherman, you don't just throw out one.
You keep throwing to fishing when it's so much about fishing.
I've gone fishing twice in my life, and not with my dad because my dad was in prison. Both times were on TV, and guess how many fish I got?
How many?
0.
Yeah.
0. Anyway, but when it comes to booking guests, it can be a challenge. You're just throwing stuff out there. It can't work out. This one came together so quickly. We recorded on a Friday, and I reached out on a Wednesday, 2 days before. They were like, let's do it. I'm like, whoa, okay. And so Morgan, I'm like, it's going to happen. She was always trying to calm me down, okay, just wait.
Yeah, because, you never know. People just and that's okay. It just happens usually with a lot of people. They're like, oh, I'm actually busy. Or, they have a kid and everything.
Yeah. The coolest part was the fact that I was like, hey, we can come to you guys or we can meet at a private spot in Sacramento, we'll let you know. And she responds with, well, De'Aaron says we could just come to you guys at your studio. And I'm like, are you kidding me? We've never had anybody here. Oh, we need a wider lens. So we were able to get that wider lens. So, this room's not very big, breaking news. It fit us all in there. And it was awesome. I was so great. I'm so grateful that they were willing to do it. And I thought it was a really fun conversation.
Well, and that's what made it so much fun too, because it was we had all of our equipment set up, which I know everyone already knows about the audio blunder that happened, but we figured it out. But either way, we had all of our equipment set up. We were in the comfort of our own studio, and it was, you could feel their energy. They opened up and they had this loose, fun energy, this vibe about them that they were like, hey, we're down to just shoot the shit and go. And they did. I didn't mean to keep them here for almost 2 hours.
They were down. So it was
we were just having fun.
So if you haven't listened to it, you're an idiot.
Oh,
That's just the reality of the situation.
No.
No, seriously. But thanks to all those who watched and listened and all the great feedback we got. You guys it felt like the listeners and viewers of our podcast were just as excited as us about it.
Yes.
So that felt really amazing. And thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for taking so much time out of your day for that one, because that was a longer conversation. And also thank you for all the very positive feedback that we've gotten from so many. So thank you.
And buckle the hell up because we got a lot of content. We got today's podcast. We're going to drop another one this week. And then we got training camp is coming up, Morgan. Training camp is October 3rd, and media day is the day before that, October 2nd. So we are going to have content all the time and then live after every single Kings game. We mentioned, should we mention a couple other cool things that happened while we were gone?
Yeah. We got more?
Yeah.
Proceed on the list.
Well, one, shout out Canada. We went to Banff, Canada. Shout out Canada. It was amazing.
You're beautiful.
The worst part about the trip was the fact that there was a situation
There you go.
at Lake Minnewanka.
A situation. I love that you call it this.
So we're waiting in line to go on this little hour cruise on Lake Minnewanka. I'm just sharing photos to Morgan, oh, look, here you go. Here's a showed album. And we're on this dock on the lake waiting to go on this cruise. I take out my phone, slips out of my hand, bounces on the dock, and that's
into the lake.
How's the splash sound?
Splash. No. It was like no. Yeah. It was like plop. It wasn't because it obviously didn't cause a wave. No. It was just like a plop.
It sunk so fast.
Yeah. It went down.
There was no saving it. So yeah, my phone on a trip to Canada went 70 feet to the bottom of Lake Minnewaca.
I did say I was willing to jump into a freezing cold lake to get it, but it wasn't
There's no
floating
point.
at all. It just
There's no
went
point.
down, and I
You're
was
not,
like,
are you a seal? Are you going to swim all the
my
way down?
instinct though. You saw me. I was like
there
ready,
was no
and then I
point.
was like, oh shit, bye.
There was 0 point.
Glad I got my photos.
So yeah, say bye phone. I think spent $1,000 on a new one because I had just gotten that one. It's really cool.
That's so weird that phones cost that much money. But also it was Lake Minnewanka's way of saying like, hey, get the F off your phone.
I get it, but I wasn't being that
No.
person.
No.
I wasn't at all. I was literally
Photos.
like, pictures. Like,
Yeah.
Take a picture of this. I'm in nature. Oh, well. But it was an awesome trip. Canada is amazing. If you've never been to Banff, do it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Flying to Calgary, drive 90 minutes to Banff. Beautiful drive.
Just like soak in the fresh air.
Yes.
It's so clean in Canada. So clean. We got to do a better job over here.
The next cool thing that happened today.
Oh, yeah. Okay. What?
NBA Today.
Oh, I was
Holy
like,
shit.
when you said you had a list, I was like, what else?
Mark J. Spears, our buddy Mark J. Spears, a
Mark.
Hall of Famer, was on ESPN NBA Today, and they were going over players who they think are going to break out this year.
Yeah.
What player do you have your eyes on?
What are they saying? The Golden One Center? Keegan Murray. I'm going to go with Keegan Murray. And if you listen to the Deuce and Mo podcast, which talks everything Kings, you got to listen to him if you're a Kings fan. De'Aaron Fox was recently on there. He said he's been working out with Keegan, playing one-on-one daily, and Keegan's going to be much better than he was next season to improve confidence, dribbling, and offensive creativity. And Keegan Murray's also known as a pretty shy guy. But now he's starting to show some personality and tell some really wry jokes. So I expect him next season. He also played in Summer League, and he scored 70 points in 2 games. Keegan Murray's going to take a step forward.
Okay, so first of all,
Yeah. Couple things there.
Mark J. Spears put us over.
You're so sweet.
Like The Rock with Austin Theory.
Woo!
But I don't
Well,
like,
yeah, except
are
a
we
little
above
different.
Austin Theory in this situation? He's The Rock with
Yeah,
Austin Theory.
because The Rock threw down Austin.
Yeah, but he
Theory.
put him over by like having a back and forth with him. Is my point.
okay,
you know,
yes.
you're on a stage with The Rock.
He's
putting you over.
Well, he's a Hall of Famer, so he's The Rock in this situation.
yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And he put us over on ESPN anyway. Major love to him. Now let's go to the next part. What he was talking about, which was Keegan Murray.
Yeah.
Could he have a breakout year this year for the Sacramento
love
Kings?
that's who he picked.
Kind of gets into something I want to hit on today's podcast, and maybe it's questions you have going into training camp. I did put it out on social media, on YouTube
you
and
did.
Discord. What? On Threads. Catch me
God.
on Threads a little bit.
Catch us on Threads, baby.
And I got great responses that we'll get to from some of the people who submitted their biggest questions headed into camp. But I guess my question I pose to you is, do you think Keegan can have that breakout year in year number 2? And what would a breakout year mean to you?
Great questions, Deuce. Because it's the obvious answer is like, well, yeah. Like, look at the way that he took a leap from beginning of the year to the end of the year to even in Summer League and just the California Classic, right? So, of course, you'd be like, he's on track to make a leap from year 1 to year 2. But what does that leap look like? Because what is it going to look like when teams know his number, know what's up, and know what he's about?
Sure. But also in Summer League when he's doing it, it's like, oh yeah, but it's lesser competition. It's different. I'm like, yeah, but he's also not playing he's not playing with De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis and Kevin Huerter and Malik Monk.
Right.
Like he's playing with a lot more talent, right? Though teams are still going to be game planning for De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis come the regular season.
Correct.
So Keegan's going to have to prove it. I think to me, a breakout year would be an uptick in scoring. Could he get to like 16 points a game this year?
Okay.
And do it in different ways. You know, last year he's such a catch and shoot guy. He was awesome at
Which
that,
was
right?
great.
He set the rookie record for most threes made in the season, shot 40%, hitting over 200 threes. That's huge. But I think I want to see a little more creating off the bounce. Like we did in Summer League, I want to see him attack and dunk and not get blocked at the rim. Like he did a lot last year. So I think he can do that. I think I've seen enough that I'm like, yeah, if he's playing with Fox and Sabonis and that lineup he got used to playing with this year, the work he's put in, I think he could break out, and I think that's like 16 points a game. I'm not saying he's gonna turn into an all-star.
It's not a hot
but that's
take.
a jump.
It's not. Yeah, it's. I think in some ways we're stating the obvious for a lot of people, and I say that only because Klay Thompson, Paul George talking about him on Paul George's podcast as well. Like the players around the league are seeing this with him, and that's why I'm saying like stating the obvious, but at the same time, it's a take. It's something that like the Kings aren't used to seeing after a rookie's first year, taking that leap and taking a serious leap and being the leap, not just being like, oh, he became better as a rookie. It's like, oh no, he became better as an NBA player, as someone that actually made hopefully a contending team or like a postseason team that much better.
I also want to see him take a step defensively. I think this team needs him to take a step defensively. Defending wings has been a major issue for this team.
Yeah.
And I think if they're going to take a step defensively, it's going to be because he shows the ability to defend. He's not going to be able to defend all the wings. There's so many talented wings in the league, so many athletic guys who could beat him off the dribble. I get all that, but if he can show some improvement there, I think that goes a long way. Not only in obviously in improving his game, but I think the Kings become better because of it.
Yeah. Again, Mike Brown is their head coach, right? And I know we'll get to a lot of the questions that people had on social media about like, what are your questions going into training camp? And you do see a lot have to do with the defense. And I think when you see that Mike Brown is the head coach and not only what he established last year, but then you got De'Aaron Fox in this room talking about how militant he is and how what his expectations are for an NBA team might feel a little different, might feel a little bit more college, might feel a little bit more like you're not going to see the floor if you don't improve, if you don't take that step. So yeah, Keegan Murray, I can only imagine, is going to take that step. And I think becoming a smarter defender.
Yep.
Right? I think the coaching staff, they have these pieces in place to make these players better from a knowledge standpoint when it comes to their defensive IQ on the floor and where they need to be.
So training camp, as I mentioned, gets underway October 3rd. So I started to ponder some questions I might have going into training camp. I asked people out there too.
Wait.
I want you guys to make a note of this. I know we took a break after the Fox podcast, a little vacation time, but we're dropping another podcast this week with our guy Gifted Hoops. He has a YouTube channel, huge NBA fan, a young guy who is grinding in the NBA content game. We had a great conversation with him. We'll be dropping that later this week. And I just scheduled our first night chat October 8th. We'll be live following Kings and Raptors, the Canada series from Vancouver. We'll be live after that game and live after every single Kings game this year.
And one more thing about Gifted really quick. I always love getting the outside perspective. Like you said, he's a guy that follows the NBA. So he's watching it all, talking about it all the time. But it's always fun hearing and seeing what some of these guys feel about the Sacramento Kings.
So right now, the Sacramento Kings roster stands at 17 players. You got 14 players on the guaranteed deals, and then you have 3 two-way players. That includes the rookie Jalen Slauson, Keon Ellis, who's in year number 2, and the new guy that just got a 2-way contract. Let's give it up for Jordan Ford.
Dude, I'm so happy for Jordan Ford.
I'm happy for multiple reasons for him, right? Like we saw him play last year with the Stockton Kings, but this guy went to Folsom High School.
Yep.
Folsom High School, went to St. Mary's, and I felt like as the G League year went on for Stockton, he became better and better. He got more aggressive.
Yes.
He's such a team guy, but as he showed in the late stages of the G League season and in Summer League, it's like he can get buckets.
Dude, it's like with these undersized guys, because that's what NBA player he is, an undersized point guard. It's always like that is the first judgment. Like, well, what are they going to be able to do on defense? Like, where are their flaws going to be? Are they going to be a liability there? How about what can they do? Look at like what they do great. And I think some things that Jordan Ford has done great that we got to see and call when he was with the Stockton Kings even last season was just his ability to use his size, to get to the rim, to have a nice little floater, to understand when to pull back and or to throw it off the glass, lay it off the glass. And
he's crafty.
He's smart. He's crafty. Yeah, I like it.
I think the biggest thing for him, to make it a full-time in the NBA is just, can he defend at his size?
And
that's just the problem. Like, and that's how tough it is to go from like G League to full-time NBA.
Sure.
It's like sometimes it's like the smallest of things.
Yep.
But he's taken a significant step, and I know he works hard on that. I like his game a lot. Good shooter. He could pass it, like you said.
Dribble.
Can finish around the rim. I just think there's going to be some challenges with him at the next level, just from a size perspective, because he doesn't have like elite speed either.
Yeah.
So that's the challenge for him. But he's a smart guy.
If we ever did get him on the podcast, and let's say now like our new bit is to do things in person,
Yes.
especially in the off season.
I love it.
Would you, even though I know neither one of us know how to play chess, would you be willing to try and play?
No, because I don't know anything about chess.
Okay,
Literally.
What if he goes, hey, I'm gonna come this Friday, and it's like, okay, we have 4 days to learn about chess. Like, let's do it.
For those who don't know, Jordan Ford is like an expert chess player. Not like, oh, hey, an NBA player who plays chess. Like, he's an expert. We're not gassing this guy up. I actually pulled up some of my notes from my game notes from the G League season. I have charts on every player with little nuggets that I drop during games. Anyway, I had this note. He looked up to Steph Curry growing up, but he also admired Bobby Fischer, one of the best American chess players ever. Jordan started playing chess at the age of 4 years old.
What?
What were you doing? What were you doing at 4?
I was not a critical thinker at 4 years old.
This is me at 4.
Oh my God. Ew. And still, ew.
Picking my nose and eating my apple. Hey, can I flick it on my sister? Well, yeah, no one's playing chess at 4. I can barely bounce a ball at 4. I don't know if I could talk at 4.
Yeah,
Can I talk at 4? I don't know.
Wait. Yeah, no. Wait, I know most little.
Yes, most
little
kids talk at 4. I don't know if I talked at 4. And if I did, I was like, I said like Jordan Ford. Anyway, this Jordan Ford was playing chess at the age of 4 years old. And you're going, oh, that's cute. Like he was like just picking up. No. He won 2 state titles by the time he was in 2nd grade and became the youngest chess master at the age of 10. I had a quote from him on this. I was working 30 hours a week when I was 5.
Like, I'm laughing at that. I don't know if that's awful or hilarious.
Dude, at 5, I'm running around. I'm rolling in the mud. I'm eating dirt.
You're a man pig.
He's going 30 hours a week chess, just beating people's ass in chess.
Yeah. So
I want that guy in my team.
Well, what if he hasn't kept up with it and like somehow we learned how to play chess before he came?
Morgan,
and then
stop it.
Why am I so competitive about like I have no idea how to play chess. Anyway, Jordan Ford, excited to have him and the mastermind that he is.
Well, that kind of leads to my first training camp question because he got a 2-way deal.
Yeah.
I guess before I get to that, we should mention a couple more roster moves that we haven't had a chance to talk about while we were gone. Neemias Queta.
Oh yeah. Oh.
And Nerlens Noel got waived. They were signed over the offseason on non-guaranteed deals. They got paid like $250,000, $300,000 just to sign. And they
Love that.
would have gotten more money had they made the team. There's different guarantees throughout the season. But what changed? You're going, what the hell? What happened? They're not. Well, I think the JaVale McGee thing.
You think?
Well, no, I think it's pretty clear. The JaVale McGee thing was, once he became available, I think it was a no-brainer. The Kings went, we want this guy on our squad.
Yep.
He got signed to be a starter in Dallas last year. Mike Brown knows him. He's a vet. He's been on winning teams. He understands his role. We can bring him here, and he's instantly one of our better backup bigs on the team. And if we're going to bring him in, we already have Alex Len on a guaranteed deal. Let's not even have these guys go to camp. Like, let's give these guys an opportunity to maybe catch on somewhere else before camp. And hey, they got paid a lot, a good chunk just to sign.
Yeah.
Now, for someone like Nerlens Noel, it's like, well, still, I would want to go prove it out there.
Sure.
But I think they were just honest with the situation. Now, Neemias Queta has already caught on. It sounds like he's agreed to a 2-way deal with the Boston Celtics. So super happy for Neemias Queta.
Yes.
Who I thought showed some signs last year in the G League, had a really strong year. I think the Kings, with where they're at in this, with this roster, they're going, we want experience.
Dude,
we want, even if you like Queta, you have to be honest. If you got JaVale McGee and Alex Len, where does he fit in? I just think Queta has something that maybe he'll be able to give, especially in a Boston situation when you think about what's going on there. Rob Williams is always hurt, and I love Rob Williams. Al Horford, I think, is 47 now. And Kristaps Porzingis gets banged up a lot. My point being is big depth's important, and maybe he gets a chance to show what he can do and get an opportunity there.
Yes, and that's in a few things about what you just said about Neemias Queta, because you're exactly right. What we saw in the G League, we saw that this guy can find a role in the NBA, right? It's like he has the size, he got better and better each year, but with this roster and with this organization, they needed someone who already had that under the belt, right? The experience under the belt. And with Queta, there was just never promise at that next level each time because he wasn't getting enough time, right?
Exactly.
And he still wouldn't get enough time under this roster construction either. And I don't think they trusted him. And he didn't show enough consistency with his dominance in the G League. But when he was dominating, you're like, yes, there's a role for you. And that's why the Celtics, just like you said, where their roster is at, hopefully he can find a way to get more NBA minutes. I love Nimi. Such a good guy. And I think he has it. He has the right mentality. There's something there with him.
He's got to be more aggressive, especially in the G League, and consistency, right?
Yeah.
Like rebounding wise, making sure you're dominant in that area. And I think he still has a chance to get to the NBA and be a role player in this league. It's unfortunate because I felt like his rookie year, it was like the COVID situation. He wasn't playing in the G League, and then he come to join Sacramento. He wasn't playing there. And like, I'm just a big believer. These young guys need to play to get better. Like, he just need to play. And I feel like that stunted him year one. Year two, obviously, he showed a little more and had a really good year in the G League. I'm bummed that didn't work out in Sacramento, but yeah, wish him well.
Wish him well, but also a little sad now too with Nerlens Noel gone.
Noel. Yeah, no.
Like, we were so ready.
How are you feeling about just that big rotation? Yeah, the song being gone. How are you feeling about that? Have you processed that emotion? But you've got Sabonis, JaVale McGee, Alex Len, and I would say, my opinion, I do think Trey Lyles will see some small ball 5 minutes as well. I feel like it's a solid big rotation. I do.
I don't want to... Here she goes, sitting on that fence. I don't want to get too excited about this rotation yet until we see what it's going to look like.
Just to be fair, you've seen JaVale McGee play in the NBA. You saw some Alex Len last year. You definitely saw Trey Lyles small ball 5.
I've seen JaVale McGee play in the NBA. Like, even when I saw him last year, he has his moments, right? He has his moments. And that's what I'm hoping he has, those moments, right? He doesn't need to play this huge role. I loved what we even saw from those moments from Alex Len.
Can you come in, block some shots, run the floor, and dunk the ball?
Hell
and
yeah.
play maybe 15 minutes a night, and maybe some nights you don't play because they're playing Trey Lyles. Hell, you could play Trey Lyles and McGee together. You could play, McGee and Sasha together too.
And what I do love about McGee, you're getting probably the most mature McGee. I know some people would be like, well, he's older. He's this. He's still working on his game. He's still working on his body. When you are that tall and you can still move, there's going to be a role for you in this league. And that's why he's jumped around so many times, right? Someone has always found some sort of role for JaVale McGee. And I'm glad that now the Sacramento Kings get to try it out at this point of his career, especially when they already have something that they like better in front of him.
I saw some rumor on Twitter. I'm sure it was made up. I'm going to mention it anyway because it sounds good. That he turned down the Warriors to go to the Kings.
I saw that too. And I
don't know if I believe it, but I'm going with it.
Just makes me smile.
The Warriors did work out Dwight Howard today, by the way.
Cute.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
I like. I think McGee's going to be a nice pickup for Sacramento. I think that's a nice move for them. So,
and De'Aaron was happy about it too.
De'Aaron was very happy. You mentioned that.
Anytime one of your star players are happy about someone, they mention him, genuinely go like, "This is what this person can add." You go, okay, that's like one of the people that it really matters. Like they're going to be playing with them at times in those moments. So yeah, that's great.
Let's get to some of these numbers, Morgan. So I
Okay.
mentioned the Kings currently on the roster have 17 players, 14 on those guaranteed, just guaranteed on the team.
Okay.
And then 3 two-way contracts, as I mentioned,
Cool.
Jordan Ford being one, Jalen Slauson, and of course, Keon Ellis. You can carry up to 21 for training camp. Okay?
Yes.
But by the day before the regular season, that has to be trimmed down to 15 plus 3 two-way players.
Okay.
This is the first year in the NBA where you can have 3 two-ways. You used to only have 2 two-way contract guys, right?
Love this.
So I'm just curious, did the Kings end up adding someone else on a guaranteed deal? Because it stands at 14 right now. And it got me thinking, we were just talking about Jordan Ford and his potential, and could he potentially be a third point guard in the Kings on a two-way deal? Last year, the Kings' third point guard on the roster was Matthew Dellavedova. He went back to go play in the NBL. He didn't play a ton of minutes for Sacramento. In fact, I looked it up today. He played over 13 minutes in a game just 7 times last year. So the third point guard role was not one that was utilized much, right? Because you had Davion, you had Fox. Not a lot of guys missed games. And Malik Monk almost acted as that ball handler off the bench at times for Sacramento. So I guess my question for you is, do you think that they need to sign a third, someone to fill that Dellavedova role on this team? Or do you think they could ride it out with what they have? And if they need to adjust later, they can adjust, whether that's use Jordan Ford, call him up. Well, how do you feel like they should approach that third point guard?
I think when you look around the league, there's been a lot of success with teams that have that third point guard, backup point guard even, but let's just go to third point guard when it's a veteran guy, right? It's someone that you can, it's your quarterback. It's the person you can trust with the ball, that you can trust managing the team out there. Sometimes, sure, they're older and they end up being more of a liability on the defensive end. I'm just stereotyping that, you know, third point guard position.
Their third point guard.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
it just is that sometimes. But that's why I guess when I do look at that situation, I am down to go in that direction of finding, because I know there's more out there, finding that veteran point guard that maybe would be down for that role.
I've got some names for you.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
I've got some names for you. You can go the vet route.
Okay.
Guy who spent time in Denver. He's been on like 18 teams. Ish Smith.
Okay.
30. You talk about a vet, 35 years old.
Yep.
Probably pretty comfortable and like, hey, I'm cool. If I need a spot start, if I need to be a backup, whatever, I just want to be on a winning team. Ish Smith is out there.
Cool.
George Hill, former Sacramento King, is out there. Goran Dragic is out there.
How old
He's old too.
I
He's
was
old
gonna say,
too.
and is he healthy right now?
I mean, is he ever healthy?
Right. That's 37 years old. Okay. That's where my brain goes immediately with him. So I'm still in that Ish Smith train.
Yeah. So
Keep going.
Ish Smith, George Hill, Dragic, DJ Augustine's out there. Kendrick Nunn is still out there. I don't really look at him as a point guard, but he's listed as a point guard on the free agent websites. PJ Dozier, who spent time in Sacramento, he can technically play that. None of those names are super exciting to me. Ish Smith, I'd be intrigued with Ish Smith because he's fast. Like he could push the pace, smart, veteran player. If you want that to be on your team, I'm cool with that.
In 35 in this league too, like when you're considered the vet at 35 and you're still in shape, it's like, great, go that direction.
The other thing I was thinking about is like, maybe you just go, who cares about the third point guard? Because De'Aaron hasn't missed time. You've got Davion Mitchell and Malik Monk can handle a little bit. Like, who cares? And if you're really in a situation, you got Colby Jones who can handle a little bit too. Like break in case of emergency. Maybe you go a different route filling that final roster spot on the main roster. Some other names that are out there. Kelly Oubre is still out there.
Why is he still out there?
Well, and a guy that scored a lot of points last year on a bad Charlotte team, has beautiful eyes. I mean, if you have to take that into account when you look at him.
To his eyes, like, oh God, you're on this team.
I don't know. He did struggle to fit in the Warrior system. When he was with Golden State, Mike Brown was on that staff, so maybe there's nothing there. But Kelly Oubre is still out there, a guy who's been in the league, been on multiple teams. Clearly, he can score. I'd imagine he's waiting to catch on to a team where he can have an established role. Where I don't like, where would he fit in with this team? Just from a rotational standpoint, there's a lot of names there. Another name I'm just going to bring up real fast.
God, he's still young. Yeah.
Kelly Oubre, what, 27?
27.
So here's a name, a guy you know.
Okay.
It's Terrence Davis.
TD.
TD is still a free agent right now, and I understand he probably wants a role. I just go, okay, you know him. Mm-hmm. You know he's cool with being coached. Mm-hmm. You know he can get buckets. He's good for vibes. Teammates like him. Vibes. He could be frustrating at times, but you know if you put him in there.
He's got a different role this time even.
He even mentioned after the season, he was like talking about how he played fewer minutes this year, but he got better because of
As
Coach
a basketball
Brown.
Player.
And that stuck with me.
Yeah.
I just wonder, like, I don't know, could he fill it? Yeah, that's just a name I'm throwing out there. I would welcome TD back.
Yeah. I mean, obviously. Same.
I'm surprised he's still out there, to be honest.
I am too. I especially after having the year that he had with a team that made a splash, right?
He played in playoff games.
Yeah.
He played significant minutes in games 6 and 7 against the Warriors.
I mean, just go back to his TNT game against Brooklyn. You know, like he got to show some shit on the big stage.
I like TD.
Oh, I love TD. And I love that he believes that he is worth more, that he can do more, that he can play a bigger role. Like he has that mentality and he's not just saying it. Like he's trying to work to get there. But there are going to be teams like even the Sacramento Kings where your role is going to even be significantly different because there's other pieces that have been added.
And you know what? Maybe that's it for him where it's like, look,
I want to play.
They've added all these guys. I don't know where I fit into this.
Okay.
I'd rather see how this shakes up before training camp and sign with the team. Maybe there's an injury. Maybe there's a change where I could get in there and break into a rotation.
Yeah.
Another name I mentioned, I'm not in love with it because of his injury past, is TJ Warren. Came back last year. Great story. Good to see him back in the league. And, you know, he started with Brooklyn last year, ended up playing with the Phoenix Suns, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, you're right.
You know, obviously hasn't been the same after missing so much time.
God.
But, you know, you're talking about filling out your roster. That could be someone that's intriguing. And this guy is more of a vibes guy.
Yeah.
Juan Toscano-Anderson, who was with Golden State. Mike Brown knows him well. It sounds like Golden State may have some interest in bringing him back after he was with the Lakers to start last year, then ended up with Utah. Didn't really have a great year. I don't know. Just a good vibe. Like he's just a good guy, plays hard, not a good shooter. I get that. Like I just having a guy like that on your roster, I like him.
Defensively, like the length that he can show with his wingspan, his quickness, like his ability to get to a spot. Yes, all those things can play a part for him still young. But yeah, like you said, JTA, good, nice guy.
So here's my official Deuce Mason stance on that final roster spot.
Oh, okay. Ooh.
We've got more of the podcast coming up in just a second, but we should mention that today's episode is presented by a New York Times bestselling author, the one and only T.R. Reagan.
She's a crazy lady that likes to write crazy lady books.
And she's got a crazy daughter, too.
Well, I mean...
Her name's Morgan. Was that not true?
I feel like when I'm... Okay, because here's the thing. When I'm calling her crazy lady, she writes about killers. Like, I'm just like... I talk sports.
And you're kind of crazy. But anyway...
So anyway, T.R. Reagan, she is amazing and writes some amazing books. So you can go to Amazon.com or go to trreagan.com. Check them out. I know so many people are obsessed with her Lizzie Gardner series, and you will be too. Go check it out.
We're also presented today by East Sac Fitness. I want to get in shape and I want to start working out. What do I do?
Is that how people sound when they are looking for an answer?
Go to East Sac Fitness in East Sacramento.
Hey.
You check out their website, eastsacfitness.com. It's a great spot because they've got classes multiple times a day, functional fitness classes with trainers there to walk you through it. So you don't have to be intimidated. You don't need experience. They're going to walk you through it. They've got yoga. They've got spin and a recovery room that Morgan loves with a sauna and a cold plunge.
Yes, and I hear I need to do more cold plunge, and I don't think it's just a fad. They've had it for a while, and I'm hearing like it can help anxiety. It can help you burn calories and do all of the above. So make sure you check out East Sac Fitness.
We're also excited to announce that we are on
Patreon.
If you go to patreon.com/Deuce and Mo, you can become part of a crew that gets some access to some cool stuff, including monthly Q&As, one that we're going to be having at the end of this month. So go check it out, patreon.com/Deuce and Mo. You can also get discounts on merch. Let me tell you, we just got some new merch. We're showing it on the screen, but I'm going to go back to the full screen for a second.
Yeah.
I have a new Shut Up and Light the Beam shirt. Woo!
Sound like you said shit up and light the beam.
Shut up and light the beam shirt.
And I have a Deuce and Mo Shield Earth Tone collection because I love me some bougie wear.
Yeah, we've got some new merch at deuceandmo.com. Click on merch and you could check it all out. We've got a ton of new stuff. Hoodies, crew necks, baby clothes.
I mean, those babies a little creepy. I'm sure your baby will look much better in a Shut Up and Light the Beam shirt.
We've got dad hats. We got it all. Go to deuceandmo.com and click on merch. TD, just come home, man.
Oh, it's not going to happen.
You
Why am
get
I so
familiar.
confident
You
when I
can
say
get
that?
familiar with the system, and there's a chance for you to break in.
I would love it. I would love it.
I don't
It's
know.
just,
Maybe not.
Deuce, guys want to
wishful
play. I mean, you remember even when the Kyle Kuzma thing was happening.
Honestly,
What?
Ish Smith is the name.
Cool.
Because I mean, he
Cool, Deuce. I'm down for that. Get him. Let's go.
vet point guard. He's been on winning teams. He's experienced.
35.
Let's
I
go.
like it.
He doesn't need to play, right? But he could help.
But he
you.
can.
He can.
Yep.
So that's my official stance.
All right, mine too.
Here's one question I have going into training camp, and I'm going to get to some of the people that submitted their questions for training camp, and we can react. My biggest question going into camp is: Can the Kings? Can they just be better at home? And what's that going to take? They were 23-18 at home last year. They were 25-16 on the road. Their defense was way better on the road. That 23-18 record, and you think about some of the disappointing losses they had at home last year.
Oh, yeah.
That Spurs game when Champagny
Oh,
owned them.
yes.
That Wizards game where the Wizards came in and just destroyed them. The Hornets game. Remember the Hornets game? We were at the G League Showcase where we were watching the Hornets just...
That was embarrassing.
Yeah, it was just one of those nights. There's just too many of those home games. And I think that's going to be a huge swing for Sacramento. Like, they won 48 games last year. Amazing. But if we want to talk about this team having the potential to win 55 games this year, they just have to be better. Like, they need to win 30 games at home.
It's
30 games at
You
home.
got that home court advantage. So whether it's your game day routine or whatever it is, got to figure it out, right?
It's so hard to explain too. And I don't know what it is. Like, is there more excitement because the crowd at home? Are they chucking more at home? Is there more of a focus on the road because it's like,
You're in a
us
hotel
against the world. Like, we don't have the fan. I don't know what it is, but they just have to be better at home because then it could turn into a legit home court advantage. If Charlotte's coming here on a Tuesday in December, that's a game you win by 17 and you put on a good show for the fans. You know what I mean? Like,
I get all of this. And when we were watching some of these games, we were watching all of these games last season.
Yeah.
And it just felt like either a vibe was off or people were excited about playing. You know, sometimes when that excitement channels into doing the wrong things, whether it is chucking the ball up or just like not being in the right spot, not being fully focused. I don't know what that is at times, but great question that you're asking. But also, yes, I don't know the answer.
it just has to be better.
Be better.
Moshi. Hopefully that's how I'm saying it. Is it Moshi or Mashi?
We're going to go with Moshi.
Mo. What's up, Mo?
What up, Mo?
This is probably Mo's question. I'm going to read it. And then I'm also going to tell you that it's probably one of the more popular questions we've received from multiple people.
Okay.
What are the odds the starting lineup opening night includes Sasha and Keegs with Harrison Barnes off the bench?
Ooh, wow. That's a great question. Oh, I hate this question because I remember hearing it even when everyone was talking about Sasha Vezenkov actually coming over. Do you think, can you answer that right now? I feel like that it's irresponsible to answer that right now.
No, but we could talk. I don't know why it's irresponsible.
My point is, I feel like everything, training camp has to come into play.
You just ask what the odds are. Hey, what are the odds? You know, if you're to look at it now, what are the odds? Yeah, I mean, I would say the odds are that Harrison Barnes is the starter to begin the season. You know, they re-sign him. He's getting paid $18 million a year. Sasha's making just under $7 million. And I know it's not all about money. It's about production too. But I think if anything, you're going to see HB's minutes come down a little bit, and maybe they play similar minutes a little bit. Maybe they stagger it in a way where they play similar minutes. I think Sasha is going to be a very important part to this team.
I agree with that. And I was just listening to a podcast earlier today about, they were talking, I think it was the Low Post, and they were talking about Chris Paul coming off the bench. Do you think he's going to come off the bench? Do you think he's not going to come off the bench? And it's so interesting how that is even posing as a question, because they keep going, well, then who's coming off the bench if you're adding Chris Paul, you know? And they're like, Looney's the guy. Just have Looney come off the bench. Yeah. And so interesting to me how they would restructure their starting unit, the Warriors would, just because Chris Paul was at it. And I think with the Kings, they have so much better of a situation when it comes to, oh, wow. The question is, do you start Sasha or HB? I think it's going to be interchangeable too at some point. It's just like when Keegan didn't start the season, right?
KZ Okpala.
Yep. Keegan didn't start in the beginning of last season. And then it was like, no shit, he's a starter in the NBA. No shit, he's a starter on this team. So I think that's going to kind of come into play with these two.
Dude, Mike Brown is going to have some juggling, that staff, because they've got a lot of guys who can play. And I thought the same thing kind of going into the next last year. But this year, it's like, you know, realistically, how many minutes a night will Sasha get? And that was another question. Black Falcon is real pose. How many minutes a night Sasha will play, and how long before he starts for Barnes?
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be very surprised if Sasha started this season. I think HB would be that guy to start the year, but I also don't think Mike Brown would be shy to change things up. There's going to be some guys who are not going to play for stretches. I mean, you saw it last year, where like Trey Lyles was out of the rotation for a little bit, playing little minutes, right? TD, you saw
matchups.
That. I think matchups are going to matter. I think consistency, and I think really what they do defensively is what's going to matter most for some of these role guys in the Kings.
That's it. And I feel like that alone, you just saying that, what I love, HB is a competitor. He's a guy that is at this point in his career too that wants to keep showing what he's capable of, right? And I feel like maybe even that alone could light this fire of making him that much better of a defender, that much better of a teammate out there to try and remain in that starting role.
Yeah, and Harrison struggles with some of the athletic wings in the league. The Kings have just struggled with athletic wings in the league.
Yeah.
And so that's where I go back to what we were talking about earlier with Keegan. Like, can he take a step defensively? That would be significant for this team. Nathaniel had an interesting one.
What's that?
Is the potential growth and production of Davion Mitchell the under-the-radar, bittersweet storyline headed into training camp? If he stagnates, that's obviously a bummer. Yes. But if he emerges like a reanimated Kyle Lowry, does he become the centerpiece of a deal for a legit wing defender? Yeah. Davion Mitchell, we talked to him over the offseason, and he has been working with Steph Curry's skills coach, Brandon Payne, I believe is his name. And he's been working on a shot. And Davion said he's been really satisfied with the results he has seen. And I think that's the difference with Davion. It's like, if Davion knocks down his shot, like, he's going to play a lot of minutes this year.
I mean,
But if he's not knocking down, that's going to hurt. That's going to hurt him big time.
Earlier, when you were talking about Keegan Murray and him just putting the ball on the floor more, I kept thinking like, okay, well, who's going to be that spot up shooter? You know, when guys collapse on Keegan as he goes through the middle to the paint. And it's like, will Davion Mitchell be like when it's like obviously staggering, and it's like, will it be Davion Mitchell that's spot up, ready to go, and is actually knocking those down? I mean, from his own mouth, that's what it sounds like. That's where he wants to be. That's where he thinks his shot is at this moment in time. So you can only hope that that is the case.
I also think him just getting more comfortable with the offense, like you talked about, will be key. But to address Nathaniel's question, it's going to be really interesting to see kind of what his future is in Sacramento, because if he, like Nathaniel mentions, let's just say he comes out and he's really productive off the bench. I mean, are the Kings going to re-sign him?
Yeah.
Are they going to give him an extension? Or will Davion be like, hey, I like it here. It's fun, but Davion has to spread his wings and fly a little bit.
I
Davion's
know.
got to start, and that's going to be an interesting kind of subplot going forward for the Sacramento Kings. But as far as this year, if he can be impactful this season, it could be huge for Sacramento. And yeah, maybe they get to a point where it's like, yeah, he's been really good for us, and we don't think we can re-sign him because we have other needs. Maybe they do move on from him. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know right now, and I think that's one of those
That's interesting questions yeah.
where I'm like, okay, wait and see what he's able to do through the first 15 games. I'm really going to make my judgment.
Ian added to that saying, what will Davion's offense look like is one of his big questions going into camp. Loco had a similar question saying, this team is a championship contender if Davion could play offense well because he didn't play a ton last year, but his defense is game changing and just need the offense to be a bit better so he's not taken out of the game. Yeah, his defense, his on-ball defense is fantastic. I mean, I was telling Morgan, I was watching the Cowboys game yesterday. I watched, Cowboys play 2 weeks in a row. Micah Parsons is a freak. Most fans, you just watch a football game. Like, I'm just going to watch the offense. What's my offense doing? You want to watch Dallas's defense because of what Micah Parsons does on the football field. His ability to get to the quarterback, put pressure on guys.
Impressive.
Davion Mitchell is like the Micah Parsons of the Sacramento Kings. No, he is. He gets after guys. How many times have you seen on social media Kings film room where someone put out videos of Davion Mitchell like defending 5 guys on one possession?
Chopping
just
his
getting
feet,
into guys.
getting over, hands,
Nasty.
busy hands. Yep.
Nasty.
Yep,
Jamal Crawford actually recently retweeted one of those videos and said, I love his competitiveness, something to that extent. And he brings it on that end. You want those guys on your team. Just knock down some shots. That's the difference.
Yep.
If you can hit the 3, if you can knock down some shots, finish at the rim, run the team, and you play defense like that.
This day and age in the NBA, you gotta be able to play on both sides, on both. Even if you're elite at one thing, where sometimes you can get away with that, depending on what your roster is, what your team is. But with this squad, they need to make sure that he can also produce on the offensive end.
Also want to know
But
the questions from people.
Fantastic.
Their questions going to training camp. These fans are locked in.
They're
locked in.
Thank you.
They're not going, who do you think's going to be good this year? It's like, no, let's talk about
That was my
Davion.
question.
Yeah. Nev, what will the rotations be like? Most notably in the front court is something Nev is curious about.
Matchups. I think it's just really going to depend on matchups. Who they're playing is my point.
Keegan is going to play significant minutes this year, right? Mm-hmm. And I hope for Keegan, there are stretches where Brown would take him out of games last year. Remember, he wouldn't finish games because he's got to be aggressive.
Sometimes you're off.
Right. But I think an ideal situation, it's Keegan, HB, and Sabonis, your front court. Sabonis is playing, he's playing minutes. The backup center thing, I think McGee is going, if they need a big for the matchup, it's JaVale McGee. Alex Len will have a shot. If Alex Len dominates McGee in training camp, maybe that switches. But I'm giving the edge right now, late September, to JaVale McGee.
Okay.
Going into camp. Then, if it's a small ball 5 situation, it's Trey Lyles. And I want to see that because that's the other thing. The Kings front court seems kind of packed. Keegan, Barnes, Sabonis, McGee, Len, Lyles, right? I mean, Kessler, Edwards. You start. That's a lot of guys.
Sure.
You can't play all these guys. And I don't want like someone like Trey Lyles to be lost in the shuffle. I thought he was so important for them, especially at times in the playoffs last year. I'm just trying to figure out, all right, where does he fit into this, right? Because I didn't even mention Sasha in the mix of that too, right? You expect Sasha and HB to play minutes. Okay, where's Lyles fit into there? Small ball. That's going to be interesting.
It is, but that's why like my immediate reaction was like matchups. And I think Mike Brown and his staff, like you said, they're not afraid to do what they feel like is right. Even if that, like, hey, don't get butt hurt. It's not about you. No egos here, because if you're not playing, like, there's a reason. And I think a lot of times, depending on who they're going up against, is going to depend on how much they play someone like Trey Lyles and go small ball 5, or the game's just shit and nothing, the energy's off and everything's going wrong, and they're like, new game plan, let's go big, whatever. And we saw some of that last year, and I feel like sometimes we call it experimenting, where at other times I just think we need to call it what it is, and it's like it's just a game plan. It's like they're just altering their game plan mid-game.
I have another question for myself.
Oh, what's the question to ask yourself? Hey, Deuce.
I'm wondering how Kevin Huerter is going to look from a conditioning standpoint this year. Last year, number one, shooters are going to go through funks. Right? Klay Thompson has had many funks throughout his NBA career. We're like, is Klay okay?
Yeah.
He hasn't been able to shoot in 3 weeks. He's one of the best shooters ever.
Correct.
Kevin Huerter, even with all of his dips last year, he had some dips. He still shot 40% from 3, near 40%, over 200 made threes, career year from a shooting perspective.
Yeah.
But he mentioned after the playoffs, I don't think his conditioning was where it needed to be. Not to say he was out of shape, but to be in the elite shape, to be able to chase around a Klay Thompson in a series. And by the way, still come off dribble handoffs and knock down a 3.
Correct.
It looked like he lost some legs. So what did he do this offseason?
Yeah. You got to take the physical contact, while trying to run around a screen. Even when you're practicing, it's not just running in a curl and working on your footwork and shooting the ball and going as fast as you can. No, it's about taking those bumps while going as fast as you can and still finding the way to balance your body. All those muscles are the weird ones that you don't just get to work on with your everyday basketball people. So yeah, hopefully those were things, and his trainers, off-season trainers are people that you would believe in and that could give him that.
Ray just has an interesting question for us.
What's the interesting question, Ray?
Which is more likely? Fox getting MVP this year, or Keegan getting or winning the most improved player / all-star?
Okay. So because he would have to probably be.
I was listening to Mark Jones today. He was on with D'Lo and Casey.
Oh.
And Mark's like, De'Aaron Fox is going to be a top 5 MVP candidate this year.
That's cool. I don't see why he can't take his game there.
Yeah, I would say I would not bet on Fox winning the MVP.
Yeah, especially
going into it. I would love to be wrong on that. It's not me doubting. I just look at the landscape of the league and
I was gonna say,
okay, let me
politics
ask you
play.
Let me ask you this. Let's play fantasy. Come to fantasy land.
I'm here.
Hey, Morgan. It's me, Deuce, in fantasy
talk
land.
normal in fantasy land.
The Kings win 58 games.
Okay.
They're the number 1 seed in the West, and De'Aaron averages 26 points.
All about the points for MVP.
6.5 assists, 6 rebounds, and a career high from 3-point land. Let's say I don't even know what his career high is. I think it was the 18-19 season. Let's say close to. Let's say he shoots 37% from the 3. 80% from the free throw line.
Okay.
So all of his numbers are where they are, and his shooting percentage. He's efficient.
His jersey still
number 1
still has the Kings on it though.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
There's no way.
Politics.
There's no way a Sacramento player
There's
can
some
win
bitchy
an MVP.
ass voters out there, and you know
You're
it.
telling me though, if they're the number 1 seed in the West,
I'm telling.
There's no way.
Because let's see, Giannis. Where's Giannis at? Because Joel Embiid got his turn. Jokic got his turn. Do we need to go back to Giannis now?
Yeah.
Oh, but what if LeBron has a great start to the season and then he makes this campaign for himself? Politics play a part. And I'm not trying to just
You're painting all these scenarios. I just gave you one where they're the number 1 seed, close to 60 wins. Fox career high, about one of the best players in the league.
He's my MVP then.
He would, yeah. He would be going crazy.
Oh
He would
my
dude,
God.
how do you miss it? He's clearly the MVP. Jokic is averaging 30, 20, and 7.
Yeah.
The Nuggets. Yeah.
But what is he doing on the defensive end? He's actually altering a lot of things in the middle.
No, I don't
Yeah.
think it's ridiculous to say that Fox could be an MVP candidate. It's just so hard to. When you start talking about someone taking that type of jump,
I
you're just like,
know.
man, it's hard to envision.
But look at the jump he took this last season.
Yeah.
It was a huge jump with so much of his game. And I know we've talked about his speed since he came into the league, but it was how he capitalized on his speed and made it more effective and efficient this year into not only those numbers, but translating into W's for an entire team.
As Ray mentioning like most improved or all-star for Keegan, I would say that's unlikely. I mean, I guess they're both unlikely.
Okay. You don't think Keegs could be an all-star this year? If he shot the shit out of the
Morgan,
ball?
if Keegan Murray's an all-star this year,
Kings are-
then clear your schedule for June. Clear your schedule for June because we're going to have some NBA Finals night chat.
I don't know. Kings are the sweethearts, and people are all about the Kings right now.
If Keegan Murray became an all-star this year, I don't even want to think about it. I don't want to think about it.
Oh, my God.
Here's the thing. If you were to say you have to pick one, hear about this.
Ooh.
You got to pick one.
'Kay.
Fox MVP,
'Kay.
Keegan all-star. I think you have to go MVP.
You have to.
That'd be cool.
Because
that'd be cool.
and I feel like there's also more there.
But if Fox, let's just say Fox played at the same level he did last year, all NBA conversation, all-star.
Okay.
Sabonis was an all-star. And Keegan became you had 3 all-star.
We're getting 2 Fox machines at that point.
That means things are going crazy in Sacramento.
Get out. We got to get out
Why
of
are we
fantasy
doing
land.
this to
Get
us?
Out, I'm not doing anything. Get out of fantasy land.
Take me away from fantasy land. Oh, okay. We're back. Oh my God.
Wind. What happened? You're so purple.
Did my shirt is more purple. What the hell happened? Okay. Anyway, we have some more to get to.
Perfect.
I want to make sure I didn't miss any on social media. Because I got locked out of my Threads account.
I know.
Or not
Or
Threads. Twitter account because I forgot my password. I just got back in today, so I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything.
I can't wait till everyone's on Threads.
I think a lot of people are asking about JaVale McGee and what his impact can be with the Kings, and that was kind of one of those interesting questions people had. But yeah, I think McGee can be really impactful. He is a big dude. He can block some shots.
He's big.
Yep.
He has his moments, and especially if you don't have to rely on him as your starting 5 all the time, why wouldn't he be able to make the most out of those moments, right?
Yeah.
And be that role, be in that role where Mike Brown, again, militant, and is saying, do your job or you sit your ass, because I got another big guy that can go out there too.
Morgan, at the end of this podcast today, I want to play a little game with you.
Oh, I love games.
And major shout out to O-Town NBA.
Okay.
He went through and listened to every single Mike Breen bang bang since the 2012-13 season.
I don't get how you even do
I don't
that.
know either.
Okay.
He said it took around 1 to 2 hours a day for 4 weeks of work. Hopefully it's worth it. So my question to you is, who do you think leads the NBA since 2012-13 and Mike Breen bangs? I think it's pretty easy.
What draft was 2012, 2013, just so I don't like...
Well, just a couple of things. Mike Breen also only calls ABC
Okay.
and ESPN, so big games, marquee teams.
Bless you. Ew.
That's how I sneeze. And then he calls games. I think this is only for ABC, ESPN, I'm guessing, because he also calls Knicks games. Anyway, so that's...
Okay.
Don't overthink this.
I'm just going to say James Harden.
Okay. James Harden has 7 bang bangs since the 2012-13 season. That would put him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in tied for 7th place.
Steph Curry.
Steph Curry.
Oh, it was funny. I said Seth Curry.
Why?
I don't know.
Did you mean that?
No, I meant to say Steph Curry.
Steph Curry leads 41 bang bangs.
Yeah, that's why you said
bangs.
don't overthink it.
Who's number 2? And I'd even say this, don't overthink.
Klay
Thompson.
Wow.
28 bangs. Now, he's probably called a lot of Warriors games throughout the years. Let's go over some of the other ones. You have 41 bangs for Steph, Clay with 28, Tatum with 9,
Ooh.
KD and LeBron with 9, Danny Green with 8 bangs. What? Danny Green with more bangs
big moments
than James Harden and Kawhi Leonard, more bangs than Chris Paul, Kyrie Irving, and Marcus Smart at 6. Any Kings on the list?
Are there?
Harrison Barnes with 5.
Good job, HB.
I'm guessing they came
with the Warriors.
Maybe there's one Kings bang. I mean, Mike Breen hasn't called a lot of Kings games. That's the problem.
No.
If any. J.R. Smith with 5. I'm trying to think of some random ones for you.
Yeah, that's pretty random.
I'm scrolling through the list to get to the really random ones. Steve Novak has a bang. He's got 1. I'm going. Norris Cole has 1 bang.
Yes.
Mike Dunleavy Jr. has got 1 bang. That's pretty good.
That's really cool. But also, we gotta get some Kings on there now.
We need some Kings bang bangs. Who's gonna get the first Kings bang this next year if Mike Breen's on the game? I'm gonna go with.
Why am I thinking like Kevin Huerter, like knocking down a 3?
It could. That's a good one.
You know, because I feel like a lot of them are 3s.
And a lot of them, end of games.
Yes.
Clutch player of the year.
Okay.
It's De'Aaron
Fox.
We appreciate you guys so much for hanging out with us. We'll drop another podcast later this week. We love you guys, but we gots to go.
You all have a wonderful rest of your night. See ya.